So this just came in that, well, according to, well, from a statistical standpoint, the fake news is what I like to call it, just like Trump does. Fox News, they're the least fake news, but, well, I mean, they have to report everything, absolutely everything. They can't solely just leave something out. But they're saying that Biden leads in Pennsylvania, that he's leading in Pennsylvania, and that he has, what was it, a double-digit lead among registered voters. You see, they said this preposterous thing, the same exact thing in 2016 with Hillary. The same exact preposterous rationale in 2016. And look who's president. Look who he is. It's right there. So we're gonna talk about the polls and really what they're demonstrating and what, at least my perspective on what's gonna happen in 2020. So, as we've talked about before, or as I've said before, the riots, they were summoned by the left to overwhelm Trump, to kind of, I guess, make Trump perceive some sort of like that he's incapable of holding the job as president. So that was with the riots, and now, I mean, this world is coming to an end. Like, it's turning into a war zone, as I said in my previous video. It's gonna happen. I mean, New York has double the amount of crimes weekly in terms of percentage, in terms of murders, homicides, things of the, all things. In comparison to last year, there has been 17 murders in a week in New York. 17 murders in 1 week, and I mean, there's the Black Lives Matter protesters, right? Who, they're so peaceful, right? Yeah. This is, if you don't believe me, go on Instagram, search up David Harris Jr. There was these Black Lives Matter protesters who assaulted this woman and her baby because the women had said that all lives matter, which is, I think, the most accurate statement. And if I'm being honest, this movement is the most preposterous, unfathomably created movement I have ever witnessed in my 15 years of life. It needs to be stopped now, or will never be stopped. If Joe Biden gets elected, it's going to continue. Firstly, Joe Biden wants to open the borders instead of opening the schools. So by him opening the borders, he's allowing MS-13 to get in the country. For those of you who don't know about MS-13, MS-13 is like, it's sort of like, what is a criminal? No, more like a terrorist organization that they work for the Mexican cartel. And what they do is they come here in the U.S. They work here in the U.S. and Paraguay, third world countries, but mainly here in the U.S. And what they do is they decapitate people's heads. They cut them off, and, well, they kill them. And they rip their hearts out as well. So that's Rambo come to life. So that's what Biden wants. He wants the borders to be open to allow crime into our country. He wants to defund the police. He wants to raise your taxes, leading to inflation, leading to starvation. This cannot happen. This ludicrous rationale cannot happen. It can't. Because if it happens, if Biden's rationale is summoned and it is created and it is put into place, our country would never be the same. Our country would be 10 billion times worse than it was under the Obama administration. And let me tell you, the Obama administration was quite, I guess you could say, absurd at their job. It was a lot of ridicule affiliated with the Obama administration and how terrible they did during their term. So let's take a look at the polls. I wanted to talk a little bit about the polls and really what I think is going to happen, because, well, this isn't the first time that these kind of concealed votes or polls have been demonstrated. So I want to really go over it. So it says here, double-digit lead. So according to the media, Joe Biden is holding double-digit lead in the polls over Trump among voters. So let's take a look. The former vice president, presumptive Democratic nominee, topped the Republican incumbent in the White House among registered voters 53 to 40%, according to the poll which was conducted July 9th to 13th. Biden held a smaller lead over Trump among the smaller pool of likely voters. He topped the president 52 to 42% under a likely voter turnout model higher than turnout in the 2016 presidential election, and held a 51 to 44% advantage under a lower likely turnout model. But the poll shows that registered voters are divided on whether they expect President Biden will win Pennsylvania in the end. One reason may be that 57% of registered voters questioned said they believe there's a sizable amount of so-called secret voters in the communities who back Trump but won't tell anyone about their support. Only 27% said they believe there are secret voters for the former vice president. Okay. So this is absolutely nonsensical rationale that they're putting here. Well, my point of view, my perspective on things, Trump is going to beat Biden by a landslide. Like, I'm talking about, he beat Hillary by like, what was it, 20, 30 electoral votes, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to beat Biden by a landslide. I'm talking about, I've been trying my best to really let people know the evils from the left and the evil rationale in general that comes from the liberal party, the left liberals. So, if I'm being honest here, the media is lying. They're lying. And if I wanted to, I could expose Trump. As a matter of fact, if you guys can follow my profile here, where I occasionally expose the liberals for who they are. As you can see here, Joe Biden is not only a terrible person, an evil person, but he is also a pedophile. If you don't believe me, search up what Biden said to a 13-year-old girl while he was in, I can't remember exactly where he was at, but he was being extremely vulgar. His comments were extraordinarily vulgar towards this little girl. So, is that what you guys want? You want his rationale and his pedophile personality? No, we can't have that. We cannot open the borders because the only thing the borders will bring is crime, rapists, terrorists, and all of the above. The only thing we can do is elect Trump. As I said, Trump has added an enormous amount of jobs for the black and Hispanic community. In just 2 months, he added 7 million total jobs. We must vote for him. That's what needs to happen. So let's watch this quick video here about the polls.
Focusing on China, but quickly turning his attention to Biden. President Trump hammering the former vice president on everything from his record on Beijing to immigration, criminal justice reform, and the economy, following a speech earlier in the day by Biden. Listen to what the president said.
And please listen to your public health experts instead of denigrating them.
He opposed my very strict travel ban. Xenophobic, he called me. But if we had listened to Joe Biden, hundreds of thousands of additional lives would have been lost.
I see American manufacturing, American workers racing to dominate the global market.
America lost nearly 10,000 factories while Joe Biden was vice president.
1 in 5 miles of our highways are still in, quote, poor condition, according to the American engineers.
Why didn't he fix them? He was there for 8 years with President Obama. Why didn't they fix them?
Kristen Fisher is live at the White House on this Wednesday morning.
So Joe Biden, more like Sleepy Joe, just go back in your bunker. You're not going to win. You're not going to win now, and you're not going to win ever. So you might as well just quit and reside in that bunker of yours, because just perceiving more and more dementia over time by your speeches isn't going to help you. It's only going to make you worse. So, yeah. we can only re-elect Donald Trump. The words of the infamous and inferior Joe Biden.